throughout the years, I've had more than a handful of life experiences that have caused me to change the way I was living or the way I was going about doing things. I'm sure you've had some too. In order to grasp the full concept of this story, you'll need to watch this video until the very end. There's been more than a few times in my life where I've reached out to someone I haven't spoken to in a few years, and it seems like I'm talking to a complete stranger. Maybe you've experienced something similar, but you talk to them, and now their interests have completely changed. The way in which they're talking, dressing, and acting is so completely different from what you remember. It's like they're a completely different person. Then they tell you their story, their life-changing story, the one that has shifted their identity from who they used to be to the person they are today. And this new person no longer has the same interest or things in common with you any longer. Personally, for me looking back through the years, it seemed that all but two of my major life-changing events that forced me to change resulted me ending up in the hospital for one reason or the other. An old friend and life teacher of mine once told me that tigers don't change their stripes. True. However, if that tiger was hunting for food in a certain area, and it was bit by a snake and the tiger almost died, chances are the tiger won't be looking for food in that area in the future anymore. The tiger's brain will reroute the cat to make sure it stays clear of that particular area to ensure the animal's safety. This is pretty much how it happens in human life as well. Everything we do on a regular basis, without thought, is nothing more than a program our brain is running on a subconscious level. It even goes deeper than that. Most of what we do, and how successful we are at doing it, our opinions, the advice we give others, and how we live at home, are all due to a deep-rooted belief system that we formed at a very early age, somewhere around the age of 8. Or a newer belief that we adopted somewhere along the time track of our life. This was typically from someone who had an impact on our lives, like a teacher, coach, boss, older friend, or spiritual leader. What I realize now is even the ideas that we have adopted between now and the age of 8 may have obscured the way we have been thinking about our life, or it may have elevated the way we've been thinking about our life. However, unless these new opinions or new elevated ways of thinking came to us or were formed during a major life-changing event, they still hold some tie or some relation to the deep-rooted belief system that we formed during our adolescence. When I was near the end of a couple of jobs that I held in the past, there was a buildup of tension day after day that continued to grow until it came to a point where I would actually feel nauseous. I would actually start looking for things that were wrong with my current work situation. Now I understand that as I grew as an individual, from single to spoken for, to without kids to raising a couple, with household expenses that were constantly expanding, and household appliances and vehicles that constantly needed repair or upgrading. I would drive to the work in the morning, and the closer I got, the more my stomach would turn. My work and my pay didn't change, nor did my morals or belief change. The only thing that was changing was me, and my changes were direct causes of major life-changing experiences, good or bad, but I still seemed to end up in the hospital. When I had an accident that put me in the hospital and changed the way I would act moving forward, or in the hospital for the most amazing life-changing gift that God could give someone, that is the birth of my children. It's so funny looking back. When the mother of my children was pregnant with our firstborn, everybody would tell me my life was going to change. I'd always blow it off and say, how's having a baby going to change my life? What I should have done is listen and follow directions, and prepared for the baby, prepared my finances for the child, prepared for my future. And not listening and following directions caused me to be reactive and forced me to take action while being unprepared. I swear I'm not a victim, but the last time I was in the hospital, this was the second to the last of my major life-changing experiences. I would have what some would say an epiphany. I would describe it more like a vision, like something that was divinely shown to me, and it was so simple. Like, you know when you hook up your Blu-ray player and you end up fumbling with all the wires for all the other connections, and you run around in circles wondering why you can't get the TV to turn on, and then your wife walks in the room and asks, "Isn't it supposed to be plugged into the wall?" It was that simple, and I thought about it for a couple days, and I put the puzzle together, and it was clear. You can get whatever you want out of life with 4 simple steps. The first step was deciding what it was that I really wanted. At this point of my life, the only thing I wanted more than anything was a little bit of breathing room. And I knew the only way to get more breathing room was to bring more money into the house. I was already in sales, and my income level and my lifestyle had already gone up since I owned my produce and grocery business. Years ago, I remember our store's general sales manager was talking to us in meetings about changing our life by selling more vehicles. And I thought, could it really make that much of a difference? Then I did the math, just like when I was forecasting when I owned my own business. It was eye-opening, and I couldn't wait to get back to work to start selling more. This idea now became a burning desire. The next thing I did, and this would become the second step, is I made the decision that this would be my new yearly income target, and it was going to be mine. I put my foot down mentally that there was no other way. What I did is I mentally told myself I was good enough and I was talented enough to sell the units I needed to sell in order to reach the income level I wanted to get to. I was fed up in my current position in life. Disgusted is more like it. I was done with the pain of just getting by and rarely ever having enough. From that point on, I started to read and listen to audiobooks consistently. I started to be aware of what I was watching on TV and video. I was changing my mindset, which is the second part of step 2 in the 4-system process. Make the decision and change your mindset. I didn't want this new goal to end up like all the other failed New Year's Eve goals. Not this one. Not after laying in a hospital bed dreaming of a different life. In a relatively short period of time, mine and my family's life will be very different if I could just pull this off. Step 3. I remember what I wanted, and I actually wrote it down for the first time. Actually, I wrote it down as if I had already had it in my possession. When I got out of the hospital, I would do my best to write my goals down daily. And I would do my best to write my goals down twice a day if I could. Once in the morning when I woke up, and once right before I went to bed. I knew that I was going to have to keep my mind focused on my goals, or the vision of what my life was going to be like after I hit my yearly target. I turned my commute into an audiobook college, and I consistently listened to audiobooks on sales and mindset. I developed a mental awareness where I was able to catch myself in the middle of thinking about a negative thought. I would block that negative thought out, and I would replace it with the vision of my goal, or the vision of what my life was going to be like after my goal had been achieved. I knew enough about the mind by this time to know that I could attract the good I wanted in my life just by adopting a new way of thinking. My goal had a deadline, and I couldn't risk having it manifesting later than I needed it to. So I needed to find a law of attraction multiplier, and that's when I came up with step 4. You got to put in the effort. You got to put in the work and a little bit of action every day towards the obtainment of your goal. Grant Cardone's book, The 10X Rule, explains this perfectly. If you're going to do big things, if you really want the big results, you'll need to put in 10 times the effort that you think is necessary in order to achieve what it is that you want out of life. When you set goals, I ask that you rethink the goals you're currently setting and make sure they're huge. Although following this 4-step system will get you whatever you want out of life. If you're married, you have kids, or both, just remember, it's your life too, and these are your goals. You want to make your dream so big that it affects your family's generation, your community, your nation, and even the world. Then simply repeat the daily process of writing your goals down as if it's already been achieved. Maintaining laser beam focus throughout the day by being aware of your thoughts, blocking out the negative ones, and replacing it with the vision of what your life is going to be like after you've achieved your goals, and putting in the daily work toward your goal. So simple. One would think everyone would know this, but you would be surprised. After many years of coaching and training sales associates, many looked at me like I had fell off the deep end, or I was smoking something during lunch, or I was teaching some kind of voodoo. In anything you do, the 80-20 rule always applies. In a sales organization, that means 20% of the sales associates will account for 80% of the store's volume. In a regular organization, 20% of the employees will account for 80% of the production. It's the same with coaching and training. Usually 20% figure it out. That's only because this kind of teaching isn't mainstream. There are only a few people teaching something similar to this. And that leads me to why me? Why this message? And why does it even matter? The whole point of this is to let you know that you can truly have whatever it is you want out of life, and you don't need a major changing life event to have it happen. Remember, it's your life too. And if you're stuck in your current place in life, maybe stuck at your job, you've probably maxed out your earning potential where you're currently at. Or maybe you know the money at the management level or the next step up isn't going to put you where you need to be. And you can't economically see yourself and your family with you in that position for the next 5 years. Could it possibly be that you haven't made the move yet because you're holding on to an old belief system that's deep rooted into your subconscious? This old belief system just isn't doing you justice any longer. My last major life-changing event happened just after I left my last employer. My department had been dissolved. It was a corporate decision. And the new role the company wanted me to take on would have been just fine. But it no longer aligned with what my future had in store for me. I didn't know exactly what it was at the time, but I know I needed to get away for a while. I ended up taking a road trip in the desert in the Southwest, about 3 states from home. During this drive, like a flash of light, I had another vision, similar to what I had while I was in the hospital. Except this time, there wasn't a puzzle to figure out, and I knew this vision was divine. I had been asked to continue to coach. For years, I coached and trained sales associates in a corporate environment. Now I coach publicly, not only for those who are in sales and need to overcome a barrier that they can't get around in order for them to hit a new level in selling, but also for those who are transitioning out of their current career, the career they feel stuck in, the career that isn't doing them justice anymore, and showing them how they could be successful immediately transitioning into the sales industry, where in many cases their earning potential is unlimited. But my message is as simple as the 4 steps. You don't need to have a major life-changing event in order to make a change in your life like I did. I'm here to help coach you through your change before a major life-changing event takes place. And I am to teach this 4-step system to as many people in the nation as possible and coach them on how to use it so they can feel complete and fulfilled in their life, and not to stop until the lives of 10 million people have been touched. YouTube subscribers is one way of how we can keep track of the number of people that are getting help through this 4-step system. If you found value in this video and would like to learn more, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Watch one video each week and apply that information. Do this for 90 days.